morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or tea or water. Sit back and enjoy the energy for the day, or the report on the energy of the day. And you can see I'm not alone this morning. We have our favorite full moon and new moon helpmate here for me, Jana Groscott. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We haven't seen you in a while, so it's really good to have you with us this morning. And you have some exciting things going on.
There's some amazing things. This Mercury retrograde has been really uplifting and helping me see things in a different way and reorganize my life and realign it so that I'm aligned with my higher self. And I've got a new program I'm launching next month called Energy Recalibration. And
Love it.
Of lots of healing tools and information about energies that we're working with. So I'm very excited to be working with this.
Yeah. So tell us a little more about that. So it's called Energy Recalibration, correct?
Yes. And you can find it it'll be on my website soon at newmoonmanifesting.com. And it's going to have short videos every week where there could be information about tapping or information about chakra balancing or new moon and full moon. And I've got other people that I'm bringing into this that are an amazing group of healers. I've got sound healers and mindfulness healers and tarot card readers. And it's very exciting. So I've been waiting for this for about 6 years. I saw this and it's taken a while to get it going, but all of a sudden all the information came together and I knew the timing was right. So I'll be launching that soon.
All good things come to those who wait. Patiently.
The blessing and a curse to be intuitive, right? Because you can
right. But just because it's true doesn't make it any easier for us to wait, I swear.
It doesn't. It's like, okay, when is this going to happen? Or was it just a fleeting, thought that I had and it's never going to come to fruition? But this is one that's actually going to make it.
Right. It is. I hope so. Good for you. And do you have a date when that begins, or is that still in the works?
It's still in the works. I kind of didn't want to launch it with Mercury retrograde.
I don't blame you.
Just with every faux pas that could possibly happen will happen. So I'm anticipating the new moon, which of course in Aries, new year, new everything. So my launch date is the new moon. So April 15th.
And that happens to be the day that Mercury turns to direct.
Exactly.
So good. And hopefully you began the planning of this well before Mercury was retrograde, and things that the projects and things that we tend to have started before the retrograde aren't as much affected. I still wouldn't try to launch during Mercury retrograde, but I think you're probably in the clear with it because of the length of time you've actually been working on this.
Yes. The ideas have been there. Everything's been in place, but now getting the platform together and all of that. So it's all coming together.
Yay, I'm so glad to have you with us. I love your little energy. And you look so pretty in that blue. What is it, like peacock blue? Yes. Oh, that's great. That's great. So let me just take a minute to say hello to everybody out there this morning because I have a guest on. It doesn't scroll across my screen. So let's say good morning to Roseanne. Good morning to Norma and Mimi. I feel like Romper Room. And I see Suzanne. And
Hi, Julie.
and I see who else? Mimi, Norma, Odd. Okay, gosh. So good morning to all of you. And thank you so much for joining us here this morning. So Jana, the reason I like to have you on with me is because you always have this wonderful information about oils that are in support of whatever the moon phase is that we're going into. And because tomorrow's full moon, I mean, this is a full blue moon. It has a lot of power and punch to it because of the way that it's connected with the other planets in the sky at the time of the moon. So what kind of things can we use? What kind of oils can we use to sort of help us through this weekend?
So the word that kept coming to mind with this full moon is relate. So it's all about relationship, right? Because Libra is about relationship. But not only relationship with other people, but how we relate to ourselves. And so as I was thinking about that, cedarwood is an oil that is great for enhancing community. So if you're looking to up-level your community or to enhance your community in some capacity, using cedarwood is amazing. If you're looking to heal your heart from past relationships, I love the combination of geranium and ylang ylang.
Ah, I love the smell of lang lang.
Yes. So ylang ylang helps bring that childlike wonder to life. It helps you reconnect with the things that are really positive and joyful in your life. It's a very uplifting energy. And then geranium helps heal our heart from past betrayal, from issues related to trust, from, those are big things that we have to heal. We have to work on the inside before we can actually externally get out there. And then the last one, okay, so the full moon is all about surrender, right? So wintergreen.
Aha.
Wintergreen helps us surrender to whatever we need to do. The other word that came to mind is recalibrating and moving our energy into a different place. And to do that, we have to surrender the old way of being, the old paradigm, the old thoughts, really purifying and uplifting us. And we consciously have to do that. We have to purify our thoughts. By every negative thought, you have to say, nope, I'm not going to think that way. I'm going to stop that way of thinking and bring in the positive vibe that you want to fully express through your body, because we express it through our body. So
Absolutely.
those are my favorite picks. Do you have any favorites?
I love geranium, and I also love lang lang. And one of my very favorite oils of all, though, is frankincense. I just love the smell of that. We used to put it on the bottoms of our feet when we had a metaphysical bookstore, and I don't know, it just set the tone for the whole day was just smooth moving. It just elevated. I felt like our spiritual awareness even.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so I love that oil. I have a funny little story for you. It's a little story. Standing in the line for the ladies' bathroom at a lacrosse game with my grandson last weekend. And there's these two women. They were obviously not on our team because I didn't recognize them at all. And they had gear on from the other team, which puts them probably from Snohomish County, which is a little south of me here. And they're talking, and this lady's like, yeah, I have all of these doTERRA oils, and I've really been working with the energy of geranium. And I didn't want to say anything because, I didn't want to close throat, right? No invitation for me to really just jump into that
Sure.
conversation. But it's amazing how frequently I'm hearing the name doTERRA these days. It's everywhere.
It is, and I'm so grateful for that. Definitely I was a pioneer with essential oils because I've been using them for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And now doTERRA has made it so easy because we educate people about essential oils, and it's not just the metaphysical, it's about how they can support our overall wellness.
Yeah.
And that's one of my passions, is to teach people not only to metaphysically heal, but to physically heal. So it becomes a win-win situation, whether you're using them for physical attributes or energetic attributes. You're going to get a cross-pollination of, benefits by using them.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting too. I just took on a new client a couple weeks back, and she is in the process of building her own doTERRA business. And she has the same sort of mindset that you do about what it is that she wants from this and how she's growing it. And I told her one of these days, with your permission, I'd connect the two of you because, even though I know you guys mutually support each other, even if you're not in the same, what do you call it? Upline, downline, whatever. Mm-hmm. Because she's so go get 'em, and she just so loves this. And I was telling her about the checks that you pin to your board that you get. And she's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So you're having influence over people that you don't even know you're having influence over.
It's so true. And we all do.
Yeah.
It's keeping that in mind, that we are always an example. And the more we allow our light to shine and stand in our brilliance, the more we give permission for other people to do that too. So, we have to be at our best and live in our genius zone.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting. I don't know, you've been busy, so you probably haven't been able to listen to the morning show, but we have been talking about a certain set of words over the last few days.
Okay.
We were talking about authority. We've been talking about authenticity. We've been talking about living your truth, and all of this in preparation for this full moon, which seems to have that signature everywhere I look. And, like you come up with these, keywords for you that are resonating about the energies right now. I do the same thing. And even the oracle cards that we've been pulling have been in support of this same thing.
Of course they are.
Of course they are, right? So there was another word. Oh, integrity. That was the other word. And so this morning I thought, we talked about the full moon yesterday, so I don't want to repeat all of that stuff from yesterday, but we didn't talk about the fact that the sun and earth are moving into new gates today in the human design, or the gene keys, either way that, you all look at the energy of that system. And wouldn't you know it?
What 21 is, what gate 21 is.
Gate 21 is the gate, the shadow. Remember, we're looking at it through the shadow, the gift, and the highest expression of it. And it is the shadow of control. And, ultimately, this is I'm going to show you where this actually sits. Let me see. I'm in a different thing now here today, so I've got to do this differently. So the gate 21 actually sits on the little will center right here. And the will center, and it leads up to the throat, right? So gate 21 sits on the will, and it connects with gate 45 up in the throat center. If there's someone with a gate 45, then suddenly this whole channel is complete for you. But the shadow in this is the shadow of control, where we lock up, right? Where we tighten up, where we're trying to control everything that's going on around us. And sometimes that's because we're afraid of the change it might bring. Sometimes it's a fear, even though the fear isn't necessarily on this particular center. But when we're tightening up like that, it can only be because underneath it is a fear. And because this is really related to money quite frequently, the person who's living the highest expression of this is an authority, right? It's the word authority that comes to the gift. And that person knows how to work with money, how to work with energy, how to use all of their resources wisely. Where if you're in control, there's sort of this pervasive underlying sense of fear, maybe from lack, or feeling that, you won't be prosperous. So I got to hold on to every little dollar, every little toothpick, every little, paperclip. And so this is a time for us to sort of relax that energy and be in control in a good way, which means becoming the authority in your own life about your own resources and how you use those resources. What I find even more interesting, obviously there's that word authority we've been looking at, claiming our authority, but the earth is at gate 48, and that means that's where the full moon will also be. And the gate 48 is such a wonderful, wonderful gate. Let me show it to you. This person, whose chart shall remain anonymous, is right here on the spleen, and it moves upward toward the throat. And it's sitting, this person actually has a good chunk of it too. It's sitting on the stream of mastery. So gate 48 is a gate where we have a tremendous ability to gain the gifts or take the gifts that we have and spread them out into the world, and to learn more and more and more about it. So for example, you have worked with doTERRA, you said, for what, almost 20 years or over 20 years? Not
doTERRA, essential oils, but doTERRA for 5 years.
Okay, it doesn't matter how many years, but the thing is that you've been working with essential oils for a long time. And so what you're progressing through what we would call mastery, the stream of mastery. And part of that stream of mastery is at gate 48, which says, I got to take it deep. I have to have experience, I have to have knowledge, and I have to have that practical use of or display of all of that energy. So gate 48, though, sits on the spleen. So it's a gate that's related to fear. And the fear here is the lower expression of the gene key, which is inadequacy. And the beautiful highest expression of it is resourcefulness. So isn't it wonderful how these two gene keys, control, authority, and valor, and inadequacy, resourcefulness, and wisdom, kind of dovetail in this week? And because the full moon is here, it really is bringing us to that. We've been saying this over and over again this week. It's time for each of you to claim your gifts and your talents, right? To express them in a spirit of service to the world. Holding on to it and keeping it to yourself is not serving anybody, least of all yourself, but certainly not the world. So in whatever way it is that you have talents to express, this is a really good time to just say goodbye to all of that stuff, to release with the full moon. Anything out here, you can't see my hand, but it's out there waving, let it go. Shake it off. Yesterday morning when I came on air, I thought, oh, if only I could sing, because I'd be singing Let It Go from Frozen for all of those people.
Can't hold back anymore.
Yeah, you do a much better job than I would have.
That's it. Right? That's all you're getting.
And if I didn't think that I would get censored for bringing in a song that wasn't, that's copyrighted, I would have brought it in and played it this morning, because it's, again, this full moon, really brings us to a point of letting go of things, completing something, enjoying the epiphany or aha or revelation that comes when that full light of the moon is shining in some sector of your life, whatever part of your chart that may be in. And I wanted to show a beautiful thing that I guess I saw it, but I forgot to bring it up yesterday.
Wait, can I share something?
Sure.
So I'm really grateful that I'm here, because the 21 is both in my pearl and my culture.
Oh,
my holistic. I know. Oh,
awesome though. That means
this is read that I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this is in my chart. So I have it in two places if I look at the hologenetic profile.
And if you look at it in your human design chart, what is it connecting up with anything?
No.
It's hanging.
Well, it's partially going towards the 45. So it's red and black.
Means it's hanging. It's a hanging gate, which means, my friend, that you're here to share this information with people and make that connection, right? Because that's how it gets completed, is when other people are there.
Right. So when I'm expressing it, obviously throughout being the 45, when I'm expressing it, I'm completing the cycle, right?
You're completing the circuit, and it's hard to say who out there, because I certainly don't have gate 45, but I bet you some of our listeners out there have that. And when you're making that connection, with your own people or the people that join you in your, energy recalibration series, that's part of the connection that they're going to get, is that ability to claim their own authority. So that's pretty cool.
Makes sense.
Or express the depth of their own mastery. Who knows, right? That's one of the things I find really exciting about doing the kind of work that we do, is that you never know what you're saying and how it's going to connect with that person and change or open up their lives.
Exactly.
And
how are they receiving this? Because they're waiting for what you have to say.
Right. And we can't control what they take from it. I learned long ago that some people are just not going to hear you with the message that you're trying to get to them. But sometimes, you just got to step back and go, okay, but at some point they're either going to hear it, or there was something else they heard and they're going to take off with that.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see that energetically in our charts, because anywhere, let's see, these are the gates that go halfway across in a chart are the ones that are hanging. Those are, like, this one over here is a full channel. And over here, there's the hanging gate. It's those hanging gates where we are electromagnetically drawn to people with the other end. And that connection is made, sometimes for really good purposes. And at other times we can sense, whoop, this isn't quite what we wanted, right? The connection is like repelling rather than drawing in. But that's how we are as humans. We really do complete one another.
So true.
What was that movie? Is it Jerry Maguire, where he says, "You complete me"?
Yes.
And I remember hearing a lot of women going, "Oh, yeah, you need the man, blah blah blah, to complete them." It wasn't about that. On an energetic level, these two were drawn together for whatever purpose, be it romantic, be it for sharing knowledge, be it for expressing something, doing some work together. We're always being drawn in to somebody else's energy for whatever purpose that we have, from a soul level, set out for ourselves.
So true. Well said.
Yeah. So I wanted to show people, and you, I'm not sure, I really am always fascinated by the patterns in charts. And there's a beautiful pattern that I don't think we have talked about here on the morning show yet for everybody. And it's called the mystic rectangle. So I outlined it. Ignore the other triangle. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the mystic rectangle, which is a configuration, some astrologers use it. If it has mystic in it, you know I'm going to use it. And so because it's also in my natal chart, so I like the mystic rectangle. And it is made up by very powerful combinations of sextiles and trine energy. So it's very positive energy. It has an ease and a flow to it. And it tends to bring out the more mystical side of things. So right here in this full blue moon, we have a configuration that leads us to the more mystical side of things. And it's made up by the moon at one corner, by the north node at one quarter, which means the south node is at a corner, and the sun and Mercury, which are in a pretty close conjunction in this full moon, at the other corner. So it does tend to really validate for me and verify everything that you've been saying, right? The recalibration and getting, clear with your energy, and the idea of claiming your authority, because the whole line of destiny is in this one, right? Destiny, the north node and south node, and then the sun and the moon. We can't make this up. It's that as above, so below. It's happening here on Earth.
I have to share something too, because today I'm so into numerology. Of course, I'm a retired tax accountant, so I'm a total numbers nerd. But if this year is an 11, right? So I started looking at the date, and it's 3311. So when I was thinking about this last night, because we have 330, but I didn't add all the numbers together because I like the patterns again.
Right.
The 33 to me is that master giver, and how do we bring that through us in a physical form? Because the 11 to me is manifesting in physical form, because it reduces to a 2. And so, as you're talking about that, that's just another validation of how significant certain days are, that can really, if we purify our thoughts and emotions, we are that open channel to bring that master giver through us to manifest in physical form.
Right. That's interesting. Then that makes tomorrow then 3. Oh, I can't add it up fast enough in my head, but it doesn't matter.
The overall number today is going to be an 8.
Today's an 8. So tomorrow's a 9.
And so tomorrow will be a 9. So it'll be completion, which, timing wise, I was raised Christian. It's not something that I follow, but look at the significance of this weekend. No kidding. So that's interesting. A 9, which is the number of completions on a full moon, which is also signifying completions. So what is complete in your life? What can you let go of? What can you say, thank you so much, you've served me well, but it's time for me to move in this direction? That's a really good piece of that energy, or part of that energy that we can play with today. I'm going to go back to my little drawing here, because there was the other configuration that I spoke about yesterday. This is a T-square. It's a T-square because there's nothing down here at the bottom that will counterbalance it. And that was the energy in Cancer, right? We have all the corners taken care of. We have a block of energies in Aries, a block in Capricorn, and the Libra full moon. But that leaves Cancer, our other initiating sign, empty. And in a T-square, that means that we're highly focused in a specific direction. And the direction we're highly focused at isn't a bad direction, but it is one that can turn us upside down in our head if we're not careful, because it's Saturn and Mars in a conjunction that we're pointed at. So we're really sort of caught up in the what do I do about this? And trying to force things, right? Pushing the river, I call it often. Where the empty end is in Cancer, and that's the more nurturing sign. So to balance all of this energy that's going on tomorrow and all through the weekend, is we need to have that space of nurturing. And yesterday I used the example of a little seedling that right now, at least, in several parts of our country, it's still a little chilly, a little blustery. You wouldn't take a seedling and go out and plant it yet, right?
you would want to hold on to it until its roots, its foundation is set. Then you could move it to the outdoors. So it seems to be that there's a lot of things that are still in that nurturing stage. That, for example, your energy recalibration, right? It's not time yet to take that seedling and launch it out there or plant that seed yet. The energy's building to that, but today is not that day. So some people are probably holding on to some ideas and things that in this weekend need to be nurtured, not necessarily planted. So it's an interesting in between. Remember earlier in the week, guys, we had that oracle card that was, what was it called? Something about the veil, where everything wasn't quite clear yet. There was a side that was still in the gray and a part that was in color. So that's a feeling we get, like almost there's something we have to really be clear about letting go of before we can move forward.
That makes sense. We do have to have clarity before we can move forward.
Yeah.
So it makes complete sense.
And I think sometimes, we really feel that pressure to do that, especially if you have an open root center in your human design chart, where there's a lot of pressure for you to do. And I would suggest this weekend, just sit back and relax. Enjoy the energy of family, of relaxation, of whatever. This is, a lot of families will be gathering over the weekend for Easter celebrations. Oh, there's the kitty tail. Good morning, kitty kitty. Which one's that?
This is Sage.
Sage.
Can you smile for us? Oh,
good morning, Sage. Oh, my goodness. Such a wise little face.
She is.
So anyway, let's talk about the last couple things that I have for you this morning. So remember, this is Friday. Hallelujah. So the energy we've talked about today is pretty much building up to that full moon. We still have the sun squaring Saturn, the sun squaring Mars, highly energetic. Remember, that is kind of pushing us to do things. But yesterday I described it, Jana, as, when we were kids and we wanted to make a lot of noise when we were driving our cars. So we'd put our foot on the brake and the gas at the same time and watch, the tires would spin. Yeah. I can't believe this, but I actually did do this when I was a kid in my car, just because I wanted to see what would happen.
Just because you could.
Just because I could. And so that's what the energy feels like to me, that I've got my foot on the brake and the gas at the same time. And so I'm really not going anywhere yet. And that's as it should be, because we're in the shadow of this full moon. Tomorrow's energy is all about the moon, and still the carryover from today and yesterday's energy to some extent. And then we get into Sunday. Now, Sunday should be an interesting day. And I mean interesting as in, this one's going to be hard for me to just pin down and say, oh, this is how it's going to play out. Because the moon and just post the full moon is in the latter degrees of Libra, and putting it in an opposition to Uranus and Eris, our favorite duo of awakening and disturbance and that kind of thing. So hard to pin down what Sunday might bring, like maybe surprises. Be prepared. If you're going to do an Easter egg hunt outdoors, bring a raincoat just in case. I mean, if it's sunny in the morning, it may be raining in the afternoon, or vice versa, because things are there's a kind of an air of unexpectedness about Sunday. And then in the afternoon, the moon will go void of course. So from 2:29 p.m. East Coast time, so that puts it at about 11:30 a.m. our time. Mm-hmm. The moon will move void of course on Sunday to 6:57 p.m. on the East Coast, 3:57 p.m. on the West, as the moon prepares to move into Scorpio. So yeah, it's going to be kind of an interesting day, Sunday. So be prepared. I'm taking a ferry and going over to Friday Harbor to visit my son that lives over there on San Juan Island. So we're going to make sure we're at the ferry terminal early. And who knows, it could be delayed for some reason. And I'm just being prepared for the unexpected, maybe an unexpected guest. Who knows? Fun stuff. So be prepared. It's not a bad thing. It is just one of those things that happens to us. Uranus brings us surprises. We cannot predict it. If you put a ham in the oven, watch it. Put a timer on so you don't forget that it was in the oven. Those kinds of things, the unexpected things that happen. other than that, we have a pretty nice weekend ahead of us. We may, luckily the full moon is happening on the weekend, so we're not so inclined to be in our work or in our businesses, where we could, inadvertently push that river. So just enjoy, sit back, relax. Any parting wise words from you, Miss Jana?
The words that come to mind is just let go and see what happens and surrender to the process. So it's going to be a good weekend.
It is. I love this time of year. I noticed yesterday I was in a grocery store and I came out of the store and I went, oh my gosh, the air smells so good, right? The cherries are blooming. The cherry trees are blooming. The tulips are starting to come up. The daffodils are in bloom. God, the air smelled so good. And I love this time of year for that. It's so full of potential and ripeness. And
exactly, that renewal we always look forward to in the spring.
Yeah. So let it come to you, though, guys. Don't go looking for it. Let it come to you. Enjoy your weekend. Monday morning, I'm going to still be in Friday Harbor. I'm assuming I will be able to have signal. However, if I am not on air, it'll be because there's some major construction going on the line that goes under the ocean to that island for the cellular and the internet service. So just in case you don't see me, I will come on later in the afternoon when I get back and be able to broadcast then. Just an FYI, just an in case. In the meantime, thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank you, Jana. I love having you on here. So we're going to use our cedarwood, geranium, ylang-ylang, and wintergreen to help keep us cool, calm, collected, in the groove, calibrated, energized during this weekend. And all right, everybody, take care. Have a happy Easter. And hopefully we see you on Monday morning, if not Monday afternoon. Mwah. Much love to you all. Much love to you.
Thank you.
Take care.